promised you all we'd be taking it easier, and we are, but that also doesn't mean I'm letting you off the hook. I expect high quality stuff on this because I'm giving you plenty of time to finish it. And I'm expecting for your work to be original, creative, and in your own words. And I'm saying this because you'll see when I'm going over these that there's a lot of projects where it requires you to give me a description or explain the significance or importance of something. And so often when I see that, you guys will just type into Google importance of Andrew Carnegie or something like that, and I will see it copied and pasted. That happens a lot. And I do notice, your teachers do know, and that's not going to be acceptable on this project. So that is a note in red right there. You are not going to receive credit on work that is not your own and words that are not your own. So can you use Google? Absolutely. I encourage you to use Google, but that doesn't mean you should be copying and pasting from Google. Whatever you research needs to be written in your own words. So, if you are really staying on top of this stuff that I'm giving you, you should be able to finish. I actually had one person in one of my classes submit a really good project today already. Like, they finished today. And so if you are really like staying on top of it, you can get probably both of these assignments done early and have some free time. So again, yes, we have 2 weeks to complete these, but really it's up to you at your own pace to complete them. As long as I have one that's turned in this Friday, which is the 14th, that's your assignment 1 upload. And as long as I have the second one turned in by Friday the 21st, that's your assignment 2 upload. So there is no excuses for not getting these uploaded by the appropriate dates, but I am going ahead and putting both of these uploads here so that you all can upload it at your own pace if you get them done early. Because if we're working hard, you should be able to finish by early next week, I would think. So anyways, let me go ahead and now, without further ado, go into what each of these assignments require. I was asking for questions after I went over each one, and I never got one in my first or second period classes. So what I want you to do right now is, if you have any questions about anything or any of the projects that you need to clarify, type it in the chat. That way I'm not pausing for no reason, and I will address them after I go over them. So please, 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 if you have any doubts or questions, type in the chat, because it probably means other people have the same doubts or questions that you do. So again, you are choosing 2 out of these 4, so be listening for which 2 sound most appealing to you. Your first option for your mini project is a history what-if essay. And this is a 1-page, single-spaced, 11-point font essay, being specific there so I don't get anything with 20-point font. And what this essay includes is, like, it talks about an event that's happened in U.S. history, but you propose a alternative scenario, so like a what-if scenario. So examples are like, what if the U.S. had never created the atomic bomb? What if slavery had never happened in the U.S.? What if we had never joined World War II? You're asking a what-if question and thinking about how the world would have been different if your what-if scenario had played out. So I'm going to talk about the requirements in here and kind of continue with the theme of what if the U.S. never created the atomic bomb. So I would write in my essay the event I'm changing. So I would say I'd be changing the United States decision to drop the atomic bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And then how that event actually happened. I would talk about how during World War II, that this happened during World War II, and that's the era of history right here. And I would say that the United States and its allies were fighting against oppressive dictatorships that were violating human rights, that by the time the atomic bombs were dropped, Europe had surrendered, but Japan refused to surrender, and so we decided to end it once and for all by dropping the atomic bombs. The impact of the event at that time is that many people were exposed to radiation and hundreds of thousands have died. And into the future, the impact of the event is that, it really got people scared of the potential of nuclear weapons, and they started building more and more advanced weapons to be able to defend themselves. So I would just kind of be going into the history and the context of the atomic bomb. And then you're telling me how you're changing it. So our idea of how we're changing it is we didn't drop the bomb. And then we're talking about how the world would be different because of the changes. Well, maybe we would say Japan wouldn't have surrendered. Maybe they would have won. Doubtful, but it's whatever your creative mind comes to. And then you would tell me, how we would have been impacted to this day if that outcome had been differently. So that is your first project option, the history what if essay. Second project option is the top 10 important dates in US history. In this project, I have a list of dates down here. And what I'm asking you to do is kind of create a timeline of the 10 most important dates. So I'm not asking you to rank them. I'm just asking you to choose the top 10 and then put them in order according to their date. And then what you're going to do with those top 10 important dates is create either Google Slides where you present one of those dates on each Google slide, or you can just do it in a Google Doc where on each page you're telling me what the date was, the name of the event associated with that date, a description of what happened, why you think it's important, and then an image. And so right here you have an example. This person is saying that their 10th date is 2000, and that's the Bush versus Gore election. They have an image right here which shows Bush versus Gore and just kind of the craziness with this election, so it represents what that's about. And then a short paragraph for description and importance. And this description is just saying what was it. So it's saying like it was the closest election, Bush won Florida by 500, Al Gore wanted to have a recount, Bush appealed to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court sided with Bush. So it's just saying what happened. Where the importance is just talking about how Gore won the popular election, but Bush had more electoral votes, and just kind of the impact of third parties and how that played out. So it's getting into like the significance of this event and why we need to learn about it in US history. So you would repeat this 10 times with your 9 other events as well. So this person, they think that it doesn't give you an example here, but their 9th most important, or not most important, but that next event on the timeline in 1914, World War I starts. And so they'd probably find a picture of World War I and give me a brief description and significance of it. So again, that can just be like in order on a Google Doc, or you can do it on Google Slides and just have slides that look kind of like this. So those are 2 of your 4 options. Moving on to the third one, you are redesigning Mount Rushmore. If you don't know what Mount Rushmore is, it looks like this. It is a mountain with the carvings of 4 presidents on it. That is Lincoln, Teddy Roosevelt, Jefferson, and Washington. And that's in South Dakota. And so if I'm telling you, these guys are considered like some of the best presidents. So if I'm telling you you're redesigning Mount Rushmore, you're telling me 4 more important people that you think would deserve to go through the efforts of carving their faces on the side of the mountain. And so essentially you are choosing 4 new historical figures. I have some approved people on this list, although you're not limited to this. And it can be any 4 people that you feel just represent American heroes. That's what I'm looking for. Like, who have we talked about in this class that you would personally consider an American hero? So you're deciding to spotlight 4 of these people. So you could, do women, African Americans, labor union leaders, presidents, anyone you want. But you are going to do this on Google Slides. And the Google Slides presentation is going to be 5 slides. The first slide is going to be a title your name and your class period, so easy peasy, just your cover page basically. And then slides 2 through 5 are going to each spotlight one of the people you choose. So at the top, you'll put the name of the person you choose, as well as a picture of the person you choose to put on Mount Rushmore. And then in either paragraph or bullet points, you are going to answer all of these questions right here. What time period or events is the person associated with? What are his or her major accomplishments? How has this person benefited the United States and its people? What is his or her legacy? And why do these accomplishments make him or her worthy of being on Mount Rushmore? So you're just giving me a write-up on everything that they did that makes them worthy of this type of recognition, and you have to be as specific as possible. So essentially redesigning Mount Rushmore, it might sound complicated, but you are choosing 4 people that we have learned about that you feel represent American heroes that deserve to be spotlighted. And then lastly, at this point, if you have any questions so far, make sure to type them in the chat. We have the mini soundtrack. With this project, you are going to choose 3 songs that you feel represent a time period that we have learned about in U.S. history. So the song choices that you choose can either be from the time period itself. So like if you're doing the Gilded Age, you could find a song from like the 1890s. Or you could find a song that's more modern, but brings up some themes that could be similar to the themes we learned about in that time period. So it can be modern songs or it can be songs from the past. But one caveat is that you may not use songs containing inappropriate language, so please do not do that. You are going to focus your soundtrack on one of the following time periods. So whichever one of these you choose. And then you're going to do a Google Doc assignment. On the first page of the Google Doc, that's your cover page, you are going to give me the name of the time period you want your soundtrack to cover. And then you're going to find 2 pictures that represent the time you chose and include them on the cover page. So if you're doing Gilded Age, you would say Gilded Age soundtrack and then find 2 pictures that have to do with the Gilded Age. On the next 3 pages, you're going to be choosing 3 songs that have themes that connect to the era that you chose. So for each song, on separate pages of the Google Doc, you are going to type the name of the song along with whoever created it, the artist. You are going to copy and paste lyrics onto the page. This is the only one where any copying and pasting from Google is allowed because you're just copying and pasting the lyrics. And then at the bottom of each paper with the lyrics, you're going to explain why you believe this song represents your time period and be as specific as possible, not just saying like, you know, like let's say you're talking about women in the progressive movement and their fight for suffrage, right? Like if you find a song about women, it's not going to be good enough to be like, well, this song connects to the progressive era because it talks about women and progressives wanted women's suffrage. Like that's not good enough. Like you need to find lyrics that are very specific that would connect with specific themes. So if it's a song talking about like the need for women to rise up, or you know, feminism specifically, like point out those specific lyrics and how the suffragists of the progressive era would have embodied those lyrics. So please, with this one, it's really important to be as specific as possible with pointing out specific lyrics and specific themes of the time period. And that is the mini soundtrack assignment. So with that, I have gone over all of them. So it's up to you now. Hopefully, maybe you've already figured it out, but it's up to you to choose which 2 of these you want to work on, one this week, one next week. So are there any questions? I see nothing in the chat. So is there any, I'll pause a little bit now. Is there anything that needs to be clarified for you all? Still not seeing anything. So I hope you all were listening. I know it's been a lot of me talking so far, but my expectation, I think if you see these, like, none of them are too scary, none of them are too intimidating. Like, we can get these done in just a few days if we're working really hard. So kind of with me letting you guys take it easier and at your own pace, that's my gift to you. What I need from you all is to give me your best work possible, because you have more than enough time to do so. Today, in order to get off Zoom, what I need you to do is respond to this Monday discussion post that says, which projects do you choose? So I want you to, maybe you already know, but if not, I want you to go and look at each one of these again, read through the requirements, and then tell me on here which ones that you are dedicating yourself to over these next couple of weeks, so that I know you'll come in tomorrow with a plan. You should be able to tell me that in the next 5 minutes or so. Class doesn't end until 1:40, so I would suggest you go ahead and start researching, start making a plan for getting your work done. And then, of course, tomorrow, I'm not going to be here to oversee you or anything because of my doctor's appointment, but it's definitely up to you to start getting to work on whichever one you choose to do first and make some serious progress with it. So again, today, I'd suggest you get started on it after you do this, but in order to get off the Zoom call and dismiss yourself, you need to submit this discussion thread. And once you do so, you may go. So if anyone has anything they'd like to clarify, please type in the chat and let me know. And remember to log on tomorrow, go in that project folder and work and submit your name for attendance. Do everything you would do if you were here in class. I expect that of you. But you all usually do pretty good, so I have faith in you. Okay, let me know what you plan on doing and you may go. I'll see y'all on Wednesday after you submit that.